All right, guys, welcome back to the Mad Maker Show. Awesome to be here. I'm very excited to interview Rob. It's going to be awesome. Before we get to Rob and introduce him and start the interview, I just want to mention a couple of things. Mad Maker Show. We've been interviewing a lot of people that create, and this is for people. More so that watch this later on, maybe after the show directly, or a week, a year, 2 years, 10 years, or whatever, how long YouTube is out there. We're documenting the lives of people that create with their imaginations and minds, artisans, woodworkers, and artists in general. And so we call it the Mad Maker Show, because the idea is, people that create art different. They kind of like bypass the concept of I can't do that, or maybe I shouldn't, or I'm just gonna go with the flow. They kind of bypass that idea and they go for broke, and they do things. And now we have internet. Like 2 days ago we have internet. In recent times we have internet, and these people are showing what they do in their locations around the world and giving us insights into their lives. And I think that, like many shows that are out there, we've created a community of like-minded people, and we're sharing our history and our thoughts and ideas. And I think it's the most powerful thing that we could do, because we are like-minded. We're not the same. We have differences, but there's a common thread, a few common threads, and that is the ability of a human being to think, I can make, or I want to make something, and then have it become reality. It's a beautiful thing. Sure, it's happened throughout history, but now we have the internet where we can document these people's thoughts real time. So that's the idea of the show. Today we don't have JP. He's entertaining visitors, and so we have a very special guest, Remo Williams. If you ever saw a movie that's a throwback to the 80s, we have Remo on the show. Who is Remo? There he is. Introduce yourself, Remo.
I'm Remo, apparently. Now, how's it going, kids? Doc in the house once again. Glad to be here after my 2 or 3 week hiatus. I was on tour of the supercontinent and on sabbatical for an entire week, and I'm back. I'm super excited to be here. Good to meet you, Rob. This is officially the first time we've crossed paths on the internet, so good to know you. Chat is a booming right now, ladies and gentlemen. Almost too many to name, but I'm going to do my best. Let's start at the beginning. This is the romper room portion. What's up to the Shogun, Jim Bashirs, Javi? How you doing, Javi? Katie Dotson and his workshop. What's going on? Steve Nealon, not Harneal. Portal. What's going on, David? Jim Doctoral, the real Doc. How we doing, buddy? And his workshop. I'm not sure if we mentioned her, but we're going to do it again if we did. Daniel, how are you in the house? How's the puppy, buddy? Tracy Keaton, the General, Bob Lee, Crosscut Creations. How's it going, Rob? I think I said Jim Bashirs, but if not, Jim Bashirs once again. Woodcrafted, how we doing tonight? If I missed anybody, please mention it now.
I'm in awe with all the cool people. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Wow, dude.
Yeah, it's very nice to see all you kids playing nice in the chat together like that. Warms my heart right up. So at this time, if you guys have questions for the man, Mr. Rob, throw them at me in the chat, and we will go We'll do that. We'll do that thing that we do. Back to you, Eloy.
All right, awesome. So I just want to, before we get started and introduce Rob, I want to mention next week we're going to have Jim Dockrell in the house. I've got the art set up and it's insane. And I'm going to be posting that on my Facebook, which is Escajedo Woodworking on Facebook. And then I share it to the different, Facebook pages and whatnot. So Jim's going to be on. We're going to interview a Canadian that's insane, next week. So I just wanted to mention that. Rob, dude, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us and doing the interview. Welcome to the show, dude.
Well, thank you very much, Eloy, and thank you for having me.
Very nice. Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you so much for doing it. And I know you're staying up late. Yeah?
Yeah, it's about 2 at midnight at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
So
it's crazy.
We had a long day, but that doesn't matter.
Well, I want to start with so I want to start with actually I did mention to you that I wanted to start with Rob background story, and we're going to do that. But before we do that, I want to mention that maybe last year, the year before last, you sent me some wooden shoes.
Yes, I did.
And which I was so honored. Which you at the similar time, you sent wooden shoes to Wood by Wright, James Wright.
Yes. Yeah.
And you stipulated that please create a carving as is, a traditional thing. I mean, stop me if I'm wrong.
That is right, but do something with it, carving or whatever you want.
Or painting.
For instance.
Well, I was very cautious to begin the process. I was in communication with Wood by Wright, and he went to town, Rob. I know you know, because you saw. He did a carving on his thing, on the wood shoes that were unbelievable. You saw, yeah?
Yeah. And it's the way he did it was what it was traditionally done for what do you call the male part of the bride and the groom, to make a pair of wooden shoes for his wife to be, the way James carved it.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was planning it out, and I saw his work, and I was like, oh my God. And so I have not touched it. I feel embarrassed about that, dude. But I did not want to, I don't want to carve into it and make a mistake. So I have them sitting next to my bed. When I go sit down to lay down, my shoes are sitting there. The wood shoes are next to my bed there. In fact, those are the only ones they're sitting next to, but I fear grabbing them and carving into that. Is that normal?
That's normal.
Okay, thank you.
That's normal. You don't want to. That's why. Yesterday I saw Soph get her lathe, and then Chris told that he had to turn something for a friend with expensive wood, and he was hesitating to start it. He didn't want to ruin the wood, and I think that's the same thing. You don't want to ruin it, but make something beautiful from it.
Yes. I was very honored. And your graciousness and your just very good vibes from you, Rob. And so I just wanted to start that off with that, because it was a very, when I opened that, I don't know if I did a live or what I did, but I was so you know, taken aback and overjoyed with it, but I've yet to carve into it because I'm worried to create a tremendous error with them. And I walk around here with them, and people, they're not they don't, it doesn't cross, you know, it doesn't register in their minds over here. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that. Okay.
And how is it walking around in them?
Oh, they're comfortable, man. You mentioned the socks too. You know, I don't know, but with socks and this and that, you explained. And when I put socks on, they're very comfortable. Not a problem. Actually, before we start, can you tell us a little bit about the history of that? Why is that so regional and important? Can you give us a little bit of that?
Well, as far as I know, they're cheap to make, and of course in different sizes with the material available. So no leather needed, just some wood processing tools, access and such. And there were different kinds of clocks, wooden shoes for different jobs. If you were working on land and you had to compact it, you had wooden shoes with boards under them. So you had a bigger surface to stand on.
Very cool. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit about, so Rob, you do an incredible amount of work, and you film an incredible amount of work, and you focus. And by the way, you guys are sending me a lot of love and super chats. I want to thank you guys so much. I appreciate it so much, very much. JP, Portal, Anna, Javi, thank you guys so much for that. Have a bottle of rum. Thank you. Doc is going to link you guys. Thank you so much for the support. So you do a lot of work in your shop, a lot of projects in your shop, from furniture to actual solutions for the shop. And I want to get to that. But before we touch on that, I would really like to know a little bit about, really for the record, to know a little bit of the impressions and how, looking through your eyes, where you grew up, where were you born, grew up, and a little bit about Rob as a kid in the early days. So it's over to you. Just tell us a little bit about that, if you could.
Okay, let's then go back to Rob about lots of years ago. And I grew up in a little East India Company city in the Netherlands, a harbor where we lived in several different houses. We moved 4 or 5 times in the city. And my father was a carpenter for the city to maintain houses and such. And I grew up with a bunch of kids, and quite near our home was a piece of forest in which we went to build fortresses and stuff. And we rode around on our bikes and did things we weren't supposed to do, like kids used to do. And we had a great time there.
So growing up, give us the lay of the land, the things that when you looked at are ingrained in your mind. Give us landmarks that have penetrated your mind as a kid.
As a kid, well, we one of the first locations we lived in the town Horen, it's called. There was the main gate at the harbor. There was a big building dating back from the beginning of the 1500s, and it's still there. And There's a little statue beside it of 3 young boys, and that's from a book, The Ship Boys from Bontekoe, and they're pictured there. And yeah, we used to play around that a lot. There are old ship boats and the harbor, how do you call that? The wood thing, which is above the water. We played on that. So that's one of the main things I remember from that city. And in the old part of the city, there's a big marketplace. In the middle of that is a big statue of some important person from the Dutch East India Company. And one of the things we do around here is making cheese. And one of the, how do you call it? The place where they weigh the cheeses was on that marketplace. A big hall with big doors. And they used to do that once a week. They come and bring in all the cheese the farmers made, and they weigh it, and it got sold to the other stores. They resold the cheese over there.
Amazing. Did you have brothers and sisters?
I've got one brother and one sister, and they're both younger than me.
Ah, so you're the older sibling. Very good. And you mentioned that your father was a woodworker, carpenter woodworker, yes?
Yes, he came from a family who that's correct. That's an architectural, a farmer. He grew potatoes and cauliflowers and stuff. That was my grandfather's occupation. But they had about 15 kids. My father had 14 brothers and sisters, so not all. Yeah, they couldn't sit still over there.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So not all could inherit that company. That's the job. So he went to school and became a carpenter, and first in shipbuilding and dressing up, and later in houses and fixing up houses and stuff. And he could really make anything he saw with his eyes.
Man. Did you? So, okay. So this is my question to you. When you're a kid, at least it was the case for me, and I think that a lot of the people here. I got a question here from Doc. I have to read that, but let me just ask this, and then I'll read what he just wrote me. When you're a kid, at least for me, I'm interested in my case, comic books, riding bicycle, this and that. Just the things that. But did you find how is it that you started to sort of like did he influence you and say, son, hammer, nails, this, that, or was it something separate later that you started?
Well, I could do anything I wanted. If I wanted to make something, there was stuff available. And there is a picture somewhere of me just able to walk with a hammer in my hand. But I was directed by him towards electronics. He told me once he did that when he was just learning some carpentry, but he was interested in electronics, and he built his own amplifier. which was so, and sender, that is a transmitter, which was so strong, it came in to the audio system of the local church. So he wasn't allowed to send out at the Sundays, not to interfere with the church.
That's awesome.
So he directed me to go and learn electronics.
Right.
But because of his later on he got a handicap,
Okay.
multiple sclerosis. So he asked me a lot of the time to help him make things.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
where I learned a lot.
And how old were you when that happened?
When he got, say, laid off, but he got early pension because of his MS, and then was when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow. So you were, did you say, how old did you say again?
4.
Wow. So then you were being told, hey, do this, try this, do it like this for a while.
Well, he was doing it and saying to me, "Van, lift this board, give me a saw, give me another chisel. I need a number 4 nail." And then I brought him a number 3. No, these are not correct. Give me bigger ones.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm glad that we're documenting this. You were not, were you, or like me? I was a little bit rebellious. I wanted to be rebellious. Were you rebellious and like would go, or were you accepting and said, okay, yeah, let's do this? Did you find interest immediately, or was it just something you had to do?
It was more something I had to do.
Yes.
Because I wanted to go play with my buddies.
Right.
That couldn't happen all the time.
Yeah. That's how it is, right? Where it's a normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. We want to pause for one moment because there are questions happening.
Of course.
Sometimes the questions destroy my show because they have all the good questions and then I have no questions to offer you. But it's the Mad Maker show, so whatever happens because we're all mad. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. Just to add to Rob's experience and to add another layer onto it, I remember spending a lot of time when I was little. My grandfather was a mechanic, and he was the kind that used the creeper and slid under. So I spent a lot of time talking to his feet and his knees. And you know what I mean? He'd have things laid out, and I did a lot of just handing him the tools too. It's amazing how it's a recurring theme for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It happened to me later in life though as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My old man needed me to do the same thing. So he'd tell me, do this, and that. And I'd go and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. All right, Rob, we've got a couple questions from the chat. First one is from Jim Dockrell, next week's guest. What's up, Doc? Rob uses both hand tools and power tools. Do you have a preference?
Well, that's a nice question, Jim. Not really. No preference. It's just what gets the jobs done in the time I have to do it, and which gives the result I want to acquire. Yeah, you could make a dado on a table saw, or you could do it with a pair of chisels. The last option takes much longer, but could be much nicer. It's just what's needed at the moment.
That's the best possible answer, in my opinion. But whatever works, whatever's needed. That's great. All right. Next question is from Katie Dotson. Hi, Katie. What's the most common wood that you use to make shoes?
The most common word?
Wood.
Wood.
What's the most common wood that you would use to make the shoes?
For the wooden shoes,
Yeah.
poplar and some woods like that. Not too hard, but not pine.
Okay, so not too hard, but not too soft either.
Yeah.
And not pine. That's an important piece of the puzzle there, because pine is a pain in the butt, isn't it?
Not yellow conifer.
Yeah.
Pine, I don't know when. Pine, it's everywhere, but it's like there's certain things.
Okay, and then we have one more from the chat for you, Rob. Anna's Workshop would like to know, what at the Maker Central impressed you the most?
Oh, Anna, that's a good question. The people. Meeting all the people you normally just see on YouTube. And some of them I had already met in Hanover the year before. But just walking up to Jimmy and talking to him, and not only Jimmy, but all the other people over there, JP, Al from Al's Hack Shack, Christina from Portugal, so many awesome people there, and just hanging out with them is just awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing when these people are real right in front of you. It's almost like every once in a while the internet explodes. Like it just like materializes into a real thing, and you're like, there is everybody. Well, I'm gonna go talk to them.
Yeah, that's cool. It's so awesome.
I agree. Every time I get to be around the people like that, it's definitely the best part. All right, one more question. Jim Bashir's Driveway Workshop. What's the most common hardwood in the Netherlands?
Hardwood, oak, local grown oak, and there is some new hardwoods grown here, but I can't remember the name at the moment. And yeah, that's the most common. Yeah. There's another one, but I can't get on the name for it at the moment.
Okay. Don't hurt yourself thinking too hard about it. That wouldn't be our style. All right, well, that's the questions from the chat. I don't think they blew up your spot too bad, Eloy. What do you think?
No, we're good. They were actually
they were concise questions, but oh wait, Javi's coming in with a late one here.
Well, I'm worried about Harju, because
Harju is lurking in the shadows, just waiting to bust things open. All right, one more from Javi. Javi wants to know, are there any tools that you would like to see that you can't get in the Netherlands? That's a good
saw
question.
stop.
Saw stop.
Table saw.
It's a good question, Javier. Yeah, you can't get a saw stop table saw?
You could import one, but there's no dealer here selling these.
I got you. So you couldn't carry one. You'd have to. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt.
And I have understood that they are very nice saws to work with.
Well, what's the saw that you... So you have a system where you have a... I think that this is right. You have a bench along the edge, and then you have a bench underneath that you roll out with your saw.
Yeah, I have on one side of my workshop, I have a long bench with the miter saw in the middle.
Yes.
And on one side is a car with my table saw and router in it. And on the other side is my assembly table cart.
Yeah, your space, you have utilized your space in an incredible way to get the job done and have the tools ready, you know, to draw out. And I love that sort of modular utilitarian system that you have, because your space isn't huge, right?
No, it's correct. I only have a small one-car garage, and outside dimensions are 3 by 6 meters. So that's about, what is it? 20 by 10
Okay.
feet? Yeah, 20 by 10 feet.
A meter is 3 feet, right?
Yeah, about.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've utilized that space. How long have you had that particular space, that workshop?
Well, we moved to this house about 13 years ago. And I set it up about 10 years ago, but in a different configuration. I had one big table in the middle with a table saw integrated into the table, which only could go straight up, not tilted or whatever. And beside the table saw was in the top the router. But I also had to store my 2 motorcycles in there and bicycles and stuff. So there wasn't much room left to do anything.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
And then later I built the, the shed in my garden. And that's about 3 by 10 meters. So I could move some stuff over there. I got rid of the motorbikes, and then I thought, well, how to arrange my workshop in a most efficient way. So I started shifting around stuff, and I thought, this big table in the middle, every time I have to walk over from the other side to this side and around and again, and that's a pain in a small space. So let's get rid of it. So I got rid of that big table, so I got more space in the middle, and then I need to store my miter saw. I need to store my table saw, but not in different places. I got a nice workbench, and this configuration grew. And this is the way I want to have it. This is most efficient. I got the most possible floor space, because that's a premium. And that's where I started building this configuration about 5 years ago.
It's very so what you've done is amazing, because exactly that, the ability to walk. It's funny, the ability to walk in the shop in a small space, to go to and fro and solve the problem, you know, the process of building something. It's hampered if you have a small space and a big sort of, you know, table in the middle, workbench in the middle. And so by dividing 2 sections of benches towards the wall and having a clear path that you can always pull out from underneath, it's a brilliant thing, man. Because who wants to be walking around the table and this and that? You're totally right. Genius.
Yeah, and then with the big table and the saw in it, every time I needed to cut a longer board, I needed to clear the table.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Think about it. You have an assembled piece on it, and you need to cut a board of 2 meters.
Yeah, man. Jesus.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a big freaking deal for me, man. It's like when you have if you have a large space, you can drop the workbench wherever the heck you. right? And you walk around the block and you get to the, but in a situation like that, I think that's the way to go. In fact, I'm doing that here in my house. I've got a small bench up against the wall, maybe 24 inches, 24 and a quarter inches off of the wall. It's plenty of space for me to do my thing. You know, it works in my situation. But all right. With that said, Rob, you also in your videos, when you start a project, and if you guys haven't seen Rob's work, I have all the links in the description where you can check him out and follow him. It's amazing because you will start a project and you will go through the project detailing the steps so that the person watching can understand, and then maybe if they want to reproduce. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's my goal, to inspire people to make things and show them that it's not complicated. It's maybe more steps to do something, but it's doable. Just take the steps and you can do it. So it's not magically happening.
Yeah, totally. And you concentrate a lot on, so sometimes I've noticed throughout the years that sometimes you have a problem that you have to look for a solution, be it for the shop, and then you get to work, or it can be maybe a piece for your wife, for something in the house. It could be a cabinet, and you really spend time focusing on the details of how to set the doors and the sides and the cuts and everything. You explain it to the audience too, so you're doing an incredible job giving people, opening up the imagination so that they can actually take the steps and do to get to that finished project. What kind of projects do you do? Although I've explained it now, but can you give us a few of the projects you've worked on that stick out in your mind?
Well, first of all, thank you. Well, I did a small cabinet for my wife for her perfume, and I had some thin oak boards which I milled up a couple of years before, and they were sitting in my work space for quite some time, so it was time to make something with them. So I integrated these in the panel doors. Yeah, last week I made some crates and a hay box. You might have seen that. The kitchen I made last year, and that was some very much brownie points scored there, making that one. And two-tier coffee table I made last year. That's still in my living room and enjoying that very much. Yeah, there are so many things.
There are a lot of things. So moving away from that, I want to ask you about going to Maker Central. Just going back a little bit with the questions with Anna, and were you surprised meeting people in person that you would see on the internet? And maybe they were taller than you thought, shorter than you thought, bigger than you thought, smaller than, just impressions. Please share with us impressions of those moments. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, like I said, some people I had already met before in Hanover, like Christiana from Portugal. And when you compare her to Elle from Elle's Heck Shack, there's quite a difference in length. Christiana is now not reaching my arm, and Elle is quite big, quite tall. So it's Yeah, well, half a meter difference between these two. You should picture them together, Mini and Maxi. And there's, yeah, well, the general impression, I didn't make a quite at front picture how tall or big or small people would be. Just go there and enjoy the moment there, and the contact with the people and their interaction, and sit down with them and talk, and which I should have done much more. But there's a next year.
Yeah, there's always things left undone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just part of, I mean, you can't fit it all in one go. I totally get that. It's an amazing thing that you guys over in Europe are doing, the makers, because over here we have all these shows and stuff, and you guys have various shows going on as well. Can you name off the ones that um, off the top of your head?
Well,
Shows throughout Europe that you can highlight?
well, what I know of is the Maker Faire in Germany, and the ones I go to, and in September is another one coming in Hanover. And there are several shows in Great Britain, but here on the mainland there are hardly any, unfortunately.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You have a strong YouTube presence, and like we mentioned before, you document and teach the steps when you're working on a project. Um, are there any other people in your area, local, that that have YouTube channels?
A local that I know of, no, not many.
Wow. Interesting, dude.
There
Um,
are there are just a handful of Dutch people doing DIY stuff on YouTube.
right. Well, let me ask you this question. Um, why did you start your channel? I was going to ask you your YouTube channel, but when did you when did you start your YouTube channel, and and were you inspired to do it because of another YouTuber? Was it something that you said, "Oh, they're doing that, I can do that"? I mean, what happened that you started your YouTube channel?
Why? Yeah, good question. I was following several makers on YouTube, and of course, Diresta was one of them, and it still is, but lots of others. And I thought, well, if they can do it over there in the States, why can't I do it over here? And get people inspired by making stuff, because there are so many people just buying and throwing things away. They can't even nail, uh, put a hammer on a nail anymore. So that's my inspiration to start my YouTube channel and show people in a small space with simple tools, you can still make stuff what you want to have. Make your stuff yourself.
Yeah, that's a very so it's an incredible thing that that now we have the ability to show what we do on social media, and inspire other people to maybe try as well. That's a great thing, and you were inspired by these makers that you mentioned, Duresta and such. And the same thing happened with me. I was fixing the house next door, which I'm fixing it now again. It's a vicious cycle, and I was thumbing through the internet, and I saw the building of a chest, a pirate chest, out of metal and wood from a log and stuff. It was Jimmy Durest the video. I said, "Oh my goodness, this is very creative and artistic, and yet, you know, functional. It's art." I saw it as, and ever since that, the thought of woodworking, making in general, people, I see it as a great form of expression with the video attached, attached to the process. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the, or not do you, how do you see the maker community? What are your impressions of the maker community, and just what are your thoughts on that in a generalized sense, or whatever springs to mind, just to see what you say about the maker community, your thoughts, Rob's thoughts on the maker community.
Well, and if I would put that in one word, I would say awesome. Just people so approachable, wanting to help each other, inspire each other, motivate each other to continue and have fun in what you do, whatever you want to do. If you want to glue two boards together and put a nail in it, or make something from leather or from wool, or just crayons and paper and make a drawing, everything is okay. And that's what I like. It's no judging, just always positive in supporting people in what they do. And that's so warming.
It really is. Oh, I just saw Temple Boom. Thank you so much, dude. Twidell, you don't do that, Twidell. King Boom. Temple, what did you write there? Temple.
Freaking boom.
So yeah, Temple Boy Turnings. We just finished up a I don't know if it's been announced or not, so I better not say. But Rob just, well, you do know, Rob, because you're part of Makers Media Network, right?
Yes.
So Portal Woodworks has been hosting different challenges, and last year he started off, I think it was the first one, if I'm not mistaken, with a Bandsaw Box challenge. Have you made bandsaw boxes?
No.
Oh,
my crappy little bandsaw doesn't hack a big piece of wood, making a nice box in it. So it's not possible at the moment.
oh, wait a second. Hold on. I have the same problem you do. My bandsaw box, my bandsaw is a 10 or 9 inch, actually, officially. And I just made a small one,
Okay.
But anyways, the reason I'm mentioning this, Rob, is because he started with the Bandsaw Box challenge. It has to be out of one piece of timber, and that went on last year, and then just recently the plywood, one sheet plywood challenge wrapped up, and coming up soon, I don't know exactly when it is, there's going to be this year's Bandsaw Box challenge. I am dealing with a smaller bandsaw, so I have the same issue, but just the same, I'm all in, right? I'm all in. I will take the challenge. Please, I hope you, Rob, I hope, take the challenge as well. You have to be creative. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to do it. I don't want to pressure you. What do you say?
Well, I'll try.
Dude,
we can all do, but try.
No, dude, you won't. You will succeed. Are you kidding me? You will succeed.
Okay. Oh, I have to be honest. I have to be more active in the network, but yeah, time limits and such. It's not always possible, but I will have a look at it and definitely will do a bandsaw box.
Oh man, that dude, that would, you know how inspirational that will be. I don't have it here. I think I have to look for it, but I did a bandsaw. It's ridiculous. Oh, here, here, I gotta show you this. Okay. Oh, wait a second, Dave Gatton. Thank you so much, dude. Um, Dave Gatton actually participated in the Bandsaw Box challenge as well last year. I remember this. I think he kicked our butt. I don't know how that worked, but this is the one. This looks like Fred Flintstone. You know Fred Flintstone?
Yeah. That's nice.
So I did this because my bandsaw cannot do like something, you know. I have to improvise, and he wants Portal Woodwork wants it from one chunk of wood.
Yeah.
I can do a very intricate box with that small bandsaw, but I have to do it in sections. So I have to cut I have to laminate the wood, and then I could do something really awesome. But if it has to be done with one piece of wood, it becomes a difficult situation. So I made this Fred Flintstone box. So yeah, you know. Well, with that said, so just keep that in mind for you guys out there. You can check on portalwoodworks.com and see the challenges coming up. But Rob is part of Makers Media Network, and so just mentioning that out loud. So Rob, let me ask you this question. The projects that you're involved in lately, give us a little bit of what you're doing now in this time. Where's your mind? Where is your work focused on?
Well, recently we had festivities in my little village here, and they come back every 8 to 10 years. And with our street, we had to make some decorations and stuff. And we made that from a lot of pallet wood. We got a lot of pallets. And after the week was over, we broke it all down. So I got a lot of pallet wood laying around. And that's my main focus on this moment, making stuff from pallet wood.
That's pretty Sterling Davis for years did a pallet wood challenge.
Yeah.
And I participated in one. It was a lot of fun. But you could do some awesome stuff with pallet wood. You know, some people are biased using, you know, pallet wood.
Yeah, you could make lots of stuff with it. I made some crates, the hay box I made for my wife, with even with a pillow panel lid on it. I'm making nice country bench at the moment from pallet wood, and if you just cut it on the right way and don't tear up the boards too much when you get big holes in it, you can make very nice things from it.
Yeah, man. I'm totally down. I totally have no problem with rustic pallet wood stuff. Like, I have no issue. I love it, even if it turn. So Shane Cole,
Yeah,
you know Shane. Did you see his project that he made, that nightstand table?
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's, you know, from pallet.
Yeah,
Totally dig that.
it's a very nice project.
You could take, you know, a lot of people will discard this wood. I see it as endless possibility. What say you, Doc?
What, pallet wood?
Yeah. Well, I know you have maybe different tastes, but what say you as far as the pallet wood thing? Like, I'm totally down with the
I'm
pallet wood.
I'm all for reusing materials. I'm big into that, but it's not my favorite material in the world to use, but I will use it if
Well,
it fits the need of what I'm making.
yeah, totally.
I could never be the guy like Paul Jackman, where I cut things into tiny bits and then I glue them into big bits and then I cut them into tiny bits again and then I glue them into big bits. I just don't have the patience for such things.
Dude, I know, dude. I mean, it's a great, awesome thing to, to laminate pieces together and create patterns and this and that. But once you're committed to a project like that, you're in it to win it. It's like it'll never be over. I mean,
Right.
Rob, some of Rob's projects take time to make. You have to have patience too.
Oh, that's one of my challenges, to keep calm and stay focused and work through it, because it's not always going so smooth, and you're not always motivated to stay calm. But then I lay things down and walk away and count to 10, and maybe another times to 20, and then start again and continue.
There's a lot of so when you build a project, you do, I mean, if people have not seen your videos, you really explain the situation that's occurring, in a certain, be it a joinery situation or how you want to place, and you really give the detail. But that's in the video, but in real life, real time, it's longer, right? I mean, you have a while where you're thinking and figuring things out, no?
Yes, that's why I have my big whiteboard in my workshop. Then I can visualize what I'm thinking about, how to put the boards together, how to create which joinery on which part of the project. So to help myself uh, get things organized and get it done.
Incredible. Doc also has a whiteboard.
I do. I'm a big proponent of the whiteboard. It's nice to be able to look at and see everything. I think that's a good exercise to be able to look at everything you have to do, and it's just kind of like a visual representation of the things that are on your mind.
I need to get a whiteboard too, dude.
Yeah,
You know?
it really helps. Like I said, I have scatterbrain, so that's one thing that's really helped me focus on what I need to get done, because I can just look at it.
All right, so let me ask this question, Rob. If you could give us, the different tools that you have that you in your shop that are very important. Just give us an idea of the tools that you have and the brands that they are, just so that we know things you use.
Okay, well, the main thing in my workshop is my workbench. It's a Dutch brand which no longer exists. It's Nooit Gedacht. And that company also made chisels and hammers and hand planes and ice skates and tools, toys for kids, all from wood. And they started even with ice skates, wood with an iron on it, and later they made these shoe versions with the iron on it. And that's the main thing in my workshop. Then I have a DeWalt, I think it's a 741 contractor saw.
Heck,
Uh,
heck yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. I like the DeWalt brands.
and I have two screwdriver drills from them. Unknown brand miter saw.
Yeah.
And the rest is about the hand tools, the Narex chisels I like very much. And yeah, what else is there? That's about the most. Yeah, the hand planes, Stanley, and that's the most are Stanley hand planes.
Yeah. But have you ever messed around with, say, a scroll saw?
Yeah, I've got one
Okay.
sitting under my bench, collecting dust.
What is it that has caused the scroll saw to take that position in your back seat in your
Patience.
Wow.
It takes a lot of patience working on a scroll saw. And I have used it for smaller projects, for make templates or to make a puzzle. About, I think it was 2 years ago, I did a Christmas challenge with Joe, and I made toys for kids for 5 days. And one of these was a puzzle in which I used jigsaw.
It's an amazing thing because so you're saying, but it takes, to me, it depends on what you're doing on the scroll saw, but like the projects that you do are so detailed, you know. Yeah, some are functional, utilitarian, let's get this, but some are very detailed in the decision making, and I think that is a longer process. But I guess scroll saw, if you're doing a portrait, is pretty involved. I know that JP spends like 20 hours or what is it, Doc? Like long hours or Miter Mike doing his scroll saw work?
Yeah, some of those projects take like days. Oh, like not that they're at the scroll saw for 24 hours straight, but you know, some of them are measured in days.
Yeah, dude. So it's like you need the patience to. So how about, what's your thoughts on the lathe?
Well, I sure would like to have one.
Okay.
But then find a space where to put it. So I have to get around and clear up some stuff, organize things a little bit different, and then I would have a space for a lathe. And I would love to take that journey and learn how to use it.
It's a fun. It's such a fun tool, you know. And let me ask you this: how do you? Since I'm looking at the last name Dave Gatton there, how about going into the? How do you feel about the CNC world and all that? I mean, do you produce items to sell, or it's for around the house? I mean, how do you think of the CNC, and answer that question?
Well, I thought about buying a CNC.
Yes.
Big one from a meter by a meter, so I could do larger projects on it, and maybe do name boards on it to sell, or get small projects on it to assemble straight from the CNC.
Yeah.
So I don't discard it. It's a nice. It would be a nice addition for a workshop, like Tim Sway did, and he's now upgrading to a bigger CNC and a laser cutter. So why not?
Yeah.
It's just a tool.
Well, you know, there's always the battle that never. There's no battle, but for some reason somebody started a joke, like the Bee Gees song.
No, there's a battle.
Oh, is there a battle?
Yeah, I consider myself to be a neutral.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't fall into the woodworking field, but there's a battle. People are petty.
See, I always thought it's a pretend battle.
Well, it is. It's a battle. Like because they're woodworkers, they pretend they're badasses, but it comes off like West Side Story, and they're just kind of, ooh, look how dangerous while they're dancing.
So they're dancing.
They're dance fighting.
Well, whatever, the traditional as opposed to modern technology. I'm open to all of it because it's all about facilitating the creative process. But yeah, definitely lasers, CNC's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So Rob, what's coming up for you next? What do you look forward to with your channel and the projects and the things that you want to do?
Well, I would like to extend to different fields than just woodworking. Maybe some leather work and welding. Metal work would be nice, but then doing metal work in a wood shop is not the most ideal situation.
Yeah, it is true.
No.
So that's hold me off for the moment. But I do like to make a bike with a sidecar.
Oh, nice. I like that idea, dude. So like
then,
pedaling
flexible. Bike? So not stiff, welded to the frame, but like on a motorbike, you go to the corner and you don't go straight to the corner, you hang over. So with a bicycle, when you go to the corner, you're not going straight, you hang over. So the sidecar should also hang over when you go to the corner. So make it flexible.
Nice. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, but I think that Marsh Wildman, which we also had on the show before. Do you know Marsh Wildman, Rob?
Not at the moment.
Wildman Tech.
Wildman Tech.
Oh yeah.
He's building 3. How is it, Doc? I don't know if you know about this, but
I've been seeing the pictures on the Instagrams there, right? But I haven't really wrapped my whole head around it.
Yeah, he's building. He got a frame. Rob?
Yeah.
Well, go explain it, Doc.
Here's what I know, and shout out to Marsh. And I'm sorry if I'm going to butcher your project here, but it looked like he took like a few nice bikes and cut them up to tiny bits. Yeah. And he's making something cool out of them, and that's why I dig Marsh. And to kick it back onto you, Eloy, Marsh wouldn't think twice about lighting up that block of wood by your bed. Good, bad, or indifferent. He'd just go right at it.
Yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta go do it.
So, Rob, how do you see the future of this internet thing where people are making and posting their projects, and then some people have the blogs and this and that, and how do you see this going forward? What's the trajectory? How's this going to look like down the road?
Well, I think it's more going to be more in the future. There's still what I hear from my sons. They hardly watch any television, and if they want to learn something or know something, they look it up on the internet. They have all their contacts on the internet. And they want to exchange information. They make a YouTube video or email or every other kind of multimedia they can use is available. So I think that'll be much more used in the future.
Do you yourself, and I know I think I don't want to be as bold, but I will be as bold to say, because I don't know, I think you probably do more internet than TV. Who watches TV? I don't know. Is that the case with you, dude?
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, me neither.
It's not motivating me to watch TV. It's not
Zero.
interesting.
Yeah, like zero.
Yeah, it's all bad news or old news.
Oh yeah, dude. It's either bad news or like junk, right?
Yeah, so why watch it?
And on the internet, dude, you're learning. You know, on YouTube, you're learning all these things, constant like information. You know, it's freaking perfect. You
Yeah,
know.
you can learn at the moment you want to have it, what you want to have. So you can pick and choose, and at the moment you need it.
All right. So let me ask you this question: did you enjoy the show?
Yes, yeah, no reservation. Yes, very nice. Thank you very much.
Well, then let me ask you this: will you come back and see us and say hi?
In live chat and such things, you mean?
Will you come back to the show and do it again?
That would be nice. Yes.
Awesome.
I'm waiting for the guest to say no.
Yeah, if you say, by the way, Rob, if you would have said no, it would have ruined everything.
And it would have made it awesome all at the same time.
It would have been awesome. It would have been awesome, yes. But at the same time, it would have ruined everything.
That would have been a metal.
It takes a little arranging things because it's now 3:15.
Yeah, I know, dude. Listen.
And I'm working home tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. We got this time gap.
I know.
And we're time traveling, so no problem there, but we have to arrange some things.
Well, I want to mention this, Rob. It's a very important thing to me and to all of us out there that we document these moments and get all this information. You gave us history that I don't know if you've shared before, and I see it as very vital. And yes, there is a time difference, and I appreciate so much your time and making this effort to be on the show. You're awesome. Lots of good vibes. I appreciate you being on here, dude. And yeah, man, we want to document all these cool people so that maybe in the future, maybe, you know, oh, they were all connected together in this way and this way. Oh, and they did this and that. That's the whole idea. So, you know, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Well, you're very welcome having me. And yeah, very great that you're doing this.
I know that you did because I was watching in the audience the Makers International maybe a few months ago.
More than a year ago.
Has it been that long?
Yes.
It feels like yesterday, but boy, it's been forever. And it's good. I always tell people when they ask and stuff, oh, but you've interviewed, I've been interviewed already. And I'm saying, no. It's okay. You could be interviewed a million times because like Paul McCartney, he's been with, you know, the Beatles, Wings, a solo for like forever. And you go on YouTube and you search and he has a million different interviews and he always says something a little different. And you're like, and it creates the universe. And so it's a beautiful thing, man. So where do you want people to go see you?
Where I am, I'm on YouTube, and Instagram is the most active.
Yes.
I'm not that active on Facebook for several reasons. Mainly because I also have a full-time job here in the Netherlands for the government, so I can't put everything on Facebook.
I understand. I understand. Well, all the links are below. And thank you so much, dude. Let's pass it over to Doc Jared HIldabrant.
Yeah, hi. Real quick, I forgot to do JP's normal plugs at the beginning of the show. So I'm supposed to say I was drinking out of my man crafting mug. And I'm also supposed to shout out Steve Nealon at Harneal Media. And that's on a personal note too. Steve, thank you for everything you do for everybody around. As always, it was wonderful to be here and to eat chips during half of the show. And Rob, it was a pleasure to meet you. And we appreciate you staying up late at night and hanging with us for a little bit and putting it on the record.
Thank you very much, Doc. It was nice meeting you.
Back to you, Eloy.
Yeah, again, Rob, honored that you did that. What can I say? Honored that you did that. Thank you for doing the show. Just know later on I will take clips, Rob, and chop them up and make mini clips, and then sort of do like bite-sized consumable clips for people out there in the future, so they run across you and they hear a little bit, they go investigate more and stuff. So all that stuff is going to be happening.
Awesome. Thank you, Eloy.
All right, man. So listen, to everyone out there, thank you so much for the love. Yes, it's true, I did have a little bit of rum, Caribbean rum, but you know what, it's okay. It's only 9 o'clock. It's not 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, see, if Rob was drinking rum at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's bad. But at 9 o'clock,
have a problem.
Right, that's a problem. But at 9 o'clock in the evening, that's not a problem. That's normal. I want to thank you guys. Have a beautiful week. Thank you for the love. Thank you, Doc Jared HIldabrant, aka Remo Williams, a 1980s classic movie, which you should check out.
The adventure begins.
The adventure begins. Oh, by the way, there's a bunch of podcasts going on tomorrow. According to Ryan Bitters from Waylight Creations, we'll have Trampled Underfoot, a subsidiary of Scratched, which is going to go live. You can see it on Facebook in the Dingles and the Berries group. So, and that'll be going out live around the world. So, catch you guys next time. Oh, next week we've got Jim Dockrell will be on the show. So we're gonna go north to Canada and figure out what the heck what's up with them. See ya.
I know.